The total solar eclipse. A dazzling dance of planets and stars. An almost unimaginable showcase of wonder. At the center of this celestial show, a lone, brilliant point of light, the last of the sun's rays, will shine like a diamond from behind the backdrop of the moon before the world is plunged into shadow. Only a few places each year are lucky enough to witness this our universe's show-stopping display of day into night. And this year, Northern New York is home to Destination Eclipse. Destination Eclipse. Soon, this whole park will be teeming with people from all over the world descending on the North Country to see our total solar eclipse. But just what is the eclipse? How does it happen? Astronomer Dr. Eileen O'Donoghue from St. Lawrence University is here to tell us more.
This eclipse is when the moon will move between the Earth and the sun, and it will cast its shadow on the Earth. On this scale, we have Earth modeled as 1 inch, and the moon is a quarter of the size. So the moon over here is a quarter of an inch, and the moon goes around the Earth. It does it every month. It's not unusual. We see it all the time. But once in a while, the moon and the Earth and the sun are in the same plane. About twice a year, they're in the same plane, because most of the time, the moon is above or below the plane of the Earth and sun because its orbit is tilted relative to Earth's orbit. But twice a year, the Earth, moon, and sun are in the same plane, and the moon, this itty-bitty little world over here, casts its shadow. The sun is on the far side. This is the new moon phase, when the moon seems to disappear because it's between us and the sun and we can't see it. And that itty-bitty world casts an itty-bitty shadow. I mean, it's the width of a pencil line on this little globe. It's less than a pencil line on this little globe. And so that's why it's so special for us to actually be in the path of this shadow of the moon.
The fact that we'll experience the total darkness of the eclipse here in the North Country is quite the marvel of science, as the sun, moon, and Earth must all align at exactly the right angle to cast a relatively small shadow directly over us. And it's remarkable, isn't it, that of all the times to be in the North Country, we're here now, in the direct path of totality. Day will appear as dark as night during the eclipse, something that has not happened here since the 14th century. This is something experts say is more than just a once-in-a-lifetime experience.
The previous eclipse was in 1349. The next eclipse is going to be in 2399. That's over 1,000 years difference. So this is one in more than 10 lifetimes opportunity. It's really been a long time since we've had this shadow cross over our region, the place where we live and work. And that's what's so special about it. If you like to travel and you can afford to travel, you can see an eclipse every few years, every year and a half or so. You could go to Australia or Africa or Antarctica or the Arctic, and there are eclipses, and we know when they'll happen and we can plan them. But to have it in Watertown again is going to take another 355 years.
The eclipse itself is nothing short of a show-stopping phenomenon put on by Mother Nature. This extraordinary event promises to be something none of us have seen in the North Country before, and unless we plan to live for another few hundred years, we'll never see here again.
It'll get dark, and it'll get dark almost as dark as night. You'll have sunset 360 degrees around because the shadow's only 109 miles in diameter. And so you in Watertown, you're very close to the center. So 50 miles away, it's daytime. Because the difference between 99% of totality and totality is the difference between day and night. And 1% of the sun, it's so bright, it's daytime. And so totality is profoundly different. And so you'll notice the dark, it'll get cool, the wind will change because the atmosphere knows that this puddle of dark is racing across the country. Some of the animals may respond. If there's any bugs out, I don't know if any of the bugs are gonna be out, but the bugs, the animals, the birds will roost. Dogs may start barking. Generally, they don't look at the sun. You don't really need to worry about your pets staring at the sun, unless they stare at the sun when there isn't an eclipse, but I doubt they do that. So yeah, you'll notice all these things happening. And it's a very quick event, so it doesn't have any lasting environmental impacts at all, except the lasting impact is the impact on the minds of the human beings who get to see it and get struck by wonder. And I've had some people tell me that it was a deeply spiritual experience to see totality. Some people burst into tears, some are a little bit frightened by it, but nobody says, yeah, I saw totality. Everybody is excited about it. And it's a very different thing than we can see any other way.
This eclipse promises to be serene and astounding because it's happening here.
The North Country will be center stage for hundreds of thousands of people, and this small and quiet community is rushing to prepare. Stay tuned. Watertown's first female mayor is at the helm of a natural phenomenon that will likely double, triple, or even quadruple the city's population in 24 hours. City of Watertown Mayor Sarah Campo-Pierce explains more.
This is the first time in history, as far as I know, as far as anybody's told me, this is the biggest event that Watertown has been at the center of in its history.
In the center of the path of totality, the 2024 solar eclipse bringing people to Watertown from every corner of the globe.
So far, we have had people from as far away as Europe, Italy, South America, across the country, register to come to this event.
The single largest event in Watertown's history.
We're expecting anywhere, I would say, from 10,000 people to 175,000 people. Those are the estimates that we're seeing. The other measure of attendance, I think, comes from the hotel bookings, and our local hotels have been booked for about a year now.
The city of Watertown has been hard at work for over 2 years preparing for these crowds, launching online ticket sales last year. Officials upping security and preparing for the city to be gridlocked the day of the eclipse.
Heavy traffic is our #1 concern. So anything that you can do to avoid having to be out and about that day, for example, shopping, getting gas, running errands, if you can avoid doing that, we would definitely advise you to do that on previous days.
Whether you're driving, walking, cycling, please remain attentive to your surroundings, obey traffic signals and signs, prioritize the safety of yourself and others.
We continue to coordinate with Jefferson County and New York State to ensure we have a synchronized effort when it comes to public safety.
We're a city of a population of about 23 or 24,000, and just for some context, that's only about the third the size of an average NFL stadium.
We are pretty sure from listening to folks that have been to these total solar eclipses around the country that we're not going to believe what we're going to see.
The big event will take place in Thompson Park, a historic park designed by the same architect who designed New York City's Central Park. Thompson Park may not have the hustle and bustle, but it does have an unbeatable view.
So the biggest items for the city are, of course, our event at Thompson Park, Total Eclipse of the Park. That will be our large-scale viewing event for people. We'll have vendors, we'll have activities for children, and of course, viewing the eclipse. We'll also have some informational kind of exhibits where we'll have experts who will be able to explain exactly what you're seeing and when. So that's one of the things that the city has been working most diligently on. It's extremely exciting. It's an amazing opportunity for the city, but it's also, I think, a lot of pressure. We want to make sure that we are presenting Watertown in the best light possible, that our businesses and our residents are ready to welcome visitors from out of the area and give them a reason to come back and visit again.
Making the park one of the best places to see totality.
When you look at the map, we have one of the best, if not the best, viewing locations. We've been working so hard to put on a quality viewing event for people and welcome all the visitors here with open arms and plenty of great events and business specials that I think the combination of everything makes the city the best place to view the eclipse.
It's gonna be really cool, and like that we can like spend time together and see this historical event.
We were clued into the eclipse and the potential for visitors showing up more than 5 years ago. To be out on the water during totality is kind of the experience I'm looking for. When you think about being out on the water, right, there's nobody out there in front of you. You've just got all of the added senses to it, you know, whether that's the sounds of the water or the feel of the boat rocking up and down, and then they have this phenomenon where things get completely dark in the middle of the day and then they brighten back up. We're not getting that again. You're never going to forget it. And even if it's cloudy, you're still going to have that memory to hang on to and to talk about, because nobody else that you're going to ever run into in your life is getting that again here in northern New York. It was only really in the past 12 months, particularly in the last 6 months, particularly in the last 3 months, that folks have really started to pay attention. You know, we felt like we've been kind of ringing that bell for years now, saying, get ready.
Preparing for history to be made. The Thousand Islands International Tourism Council is at the center of the 2024 solar eclipse, bringing people to destinations in northern New York for a clear view of totality.
When you look at the other New York destinations that had the eclipse, southern shore of Lake Ontario, places like Rochester, Buffalo, Niagara Falls, it's a bit more urban. To be honest, there's not a lot of tall buildings that are going to be in your way in northern New York when you want to see the eclipse. So when you think of a real experience, wide open spaces, right? Whether that's the vineyard at a winery or Thompson Park or the shores of Lake Ontario, there's nothing in your way but sky. And so this is one of those times where what we offer is really appealing.
People are expected to arrive in crowds of thousands, but it will be on the weather to decide just how many.
We can look at hotel room numbers, we can look at short-term rentals and say, okay, there's between 10 and 20,000 people that are going to be overnighting for certain. What we can't predict are day trippers, and a lot of that's going to get down the forecast. There is a clear line for where you're going to be able to see this phenomenon, and depending on the forecast of a northern New York versus a New England versus a western New York, that'll influence the number of day trippers we get.
Tour boats will be running, seasonal restaurants will be open, and the area will be full of life, hoping to ignite the area's tourism season earlier than ever.
It's an opportunity for us to show off what we are at other times of the year. A visitor can show up and say, okay, I took the Clayton Island Tours boat to Rock Island Lighthouse to watch the eclipse, or I took the Uncle Sam boat tours boat to watch the eclipse. I went out with a fishing guide out of Henderson Harbor. This looks amazing. These restaurants are here, these hotels are here. They're well staffed by good people that understand hospitality. We really should come back.
So get ready for the show of the century.
This really is beyond what any of us can create. The demand was there. We knew that people were coming. This was by no creation of our own. This is about the last thing you can truly rely on, is the sun is going to show up, and it's allowing for this to happen. I can't think of a better way to enjoy something like this than to have an unblemished view.
And this unblemished view is worth traveling thousands of miles for.
Hello!
Hello!
Dr. Lisa Carulli and her son, Jojo, are getting ready for a trip of a lifetime.
It is his spring break, and I thought, let's do something really unique and have a really different experience, and so that's what we're doing.
The pair lives in San Diego. You can often find them outside on grand adventures.
What can you do in one day here?
You can drive from like a beach to like a snowy mountain in like a few hours.
But they're trading the beachy shores of Southern California for the path of totality, flying to Watertown for the solar eclipse.
I knew it came in like through North America and kind of went down through the middle. And we were thinking we were going to go to maybe Arkansas or Missouri, but don't really know anyone there. So and then I found out that it happens in Watertown. So I immediately texted my cousin and said, "Oh my God, you guys are in the path. Can we invite ourselves to your house?"
2017 brought the mother and son a view of the partial solar eclipse in California, so they're amped for the Ring of Fire.
I think it's gonna be super cool. And the only other eclipse I've seen is the 2017 one. I was like 5.
Do you remember it?
Yes, I remember it. I wore the glasses.
With family in the area, this won't be their last trip to Watertown, but it will be unlike any visit Lisa and JoJo have shared together.
We go there to get away. Last time we went there, we stayed in the most remote place up by that Tupper Lake or somewhere. I mean, we were so remote, like we couldn't even see sunlight from our cabin in the middle of the day because we were just way back in the woods in the Catskills. So I'm used to peace and quiet when I go there. It's kind of a quiet place, so it'll be interesting. It's such a great opportunity, I think, for Watertown just to kind of let people see how great of a sweet down-home flavor it has to it with just really good people. And I can't wait to go back and experience it and take him there when he's now old enough to remember what Watertown is like.
Something they'll never forget and a memory they'll cherish forever.
I think this will probably be the last one in my lifetime, it's safe to say, but he might be able to see the one, I think it's in 2072 or something, 70s, somewhere. It's like a long time from now.
I think it's gonna be really cool, and then that we can spend time together and see this historical event.
Yeah, that goes double for me. Just being with him, and taking him on any kind of experience that I can is really fun.
Everything, it's the middle of the night, you hear animals chirping, the nocturnal animals are starting to peek their heads out. We could hear crickets chirping in the middle of the day. It was just a really cool experience.
It was something they had to see again.
Nothing really prepares you for how dark it is and stars at 1:30 in the afternoon. And it's so quick, totality only lasts a few minutes. So it's it comes and you're in awe, and then it's over and you're like, okay, that was really cool, I need to see that again.
Amanda Fall and her 2 kids saw the 2017 total solar eclipse in South Carolina. It was a last-minute road trip to something unimaginable.
My kids are obviously quite a bit younger. My son doesn't really remember it at all, but I had an amazing experience. It was really cool being, in the path of totality. We planned it super last minute, 3 days before. We want to see the eclipse. We borrowed a tent. We hopped in the car. And while there, we're I wonder when the next one is that's going to be feasible somewhat in the area. And we looked it up and we saw, in 2024, the eclipse is going right over Watertown.
Quickly booking flights to see the next eclipse in Watertown, New York. But this will be a very special trip for Amanda and her family, because Amanda grew up in the small northern New York City.
I'm originally from Watertown, New York. And in 2007, I moved right outside Orlando, Florida. Last time I was home for any substantial length of time was 2018.
Excited for totality, but also awestruck that tens of thousands of people from all over the world are also traveling to Watertown.
People are flocking there. We're really involved in our dance school, Arts with Heart, and there's 4 different families from this one small dance school traveling for the eclipse. And 3 of them, myself included, are going to the Watertown area. I mean, I live in a tourist town. Family works at Disney. We're annual pass holders. So I'm used to people flocking here. But you can't get this at Disney. So it's really interesting to be going. Normally when I'm on the plane home, I'm the only person leaving for vacation. And coming back, I'm the only one whose vacation is ending. So it's, I know multiple people that are flying in and out of Syracuse the same days I am. So I think that's going to be a really cool experience.
Amanda has memories of going to Thompson Park, eating at renowned North Country restaurants, and spending time at popular destinations. So this trip, she says, will bring her notes of nostalgia and pride.
Excited to see the park full of people. You know, like I grew up going to the 4th of July concerts at the park with the orchestra from Fort Drum and everything. And it was always just so many people, and they were always excited to be there. And while we're going to private property for the actual Eclipse, we're definitely going to be hitting up the park and the library. And I'm just excited to see everybody kind of having a good time and there for a good reason.
So this really will be the best place to see the eclipse.
And this year, we get to be part of something bigger than us. Stay tuned. Of all the places in the world the moon's shadow could pass directly over, this year, it's passing over us. I'm here at Jefferson Community College in Watertown to talk to an astronomy expert who's going to tell me more about just what on earth is going on up there.
The sky's going to darken at totality, and not only will the sun disappear, but we'll start to see planets and stars during the daylight. We'll see Mars, Saturn, Uranus, Jupiter, Venus, and Mercury. If we're lucky, we'll get to see a comet called Pons-Brooks with the binoculars at totality, if we're lucky.
And with all this beauty and wonder happening in the sky above me, I want to have as good a look at it as possible. But the one thing scientists and experts advise is that unless I wear a pair of specially made eclipse viewing glasses, if I look directly at it, it might be the last thing I see.
It's vitally important to wear eclipse glasses when you're looking at the sun. When you're not looking at the sun, when you're looking around, just like when the sun isn't eclipsed, you can look around without eclipse glasses. But if you look at the sun, yes, and put the eclipse glasses on first and then look up at the sun, because all the ultraviolet light that does harm can do harm to our retinas as it can do harm to our skin. Those ultraviolet rays are coming through, and they're enough, even when the sun is eclipsed, they are enough to burn your retina if you stare at it too long.
If you've ever watched anyone weld, they'll tell you if they see you staring at their welding, they'll turn it off and say, don't stare at it, you'll go blind. And what will happen is it will singe the back of your eyeball, and the thing is you won't be aware of it because you don't have any pain receptors. So what will happen is if you've ever glanced at the sun, I know as a kid I did it, and then when you look away and you blink, you kind of see that image, and that's where your sensors have been overloaded, and after a few minutes they kind of repair themselves. Well, if you do this looking directly at the sun for any length of time during the eclipse, trying to look at it, that would eventually that blind spot would not go away.
Severe as it may sound, experts say as long as you're wearing a pair of eclipse glasses, there's nothing to worry about. Besides, of course, finding just the right spot to view this sensational curiosity of the sky.
Spend the time of the eclipse participating with all your senses. Notice the change in the temperature. Notice the change in the breeze. Notice the people around you. Notice any animals. Notice what the birds are doing. Really participate in it. It's only 3 minutes. You don't want to remember fiddling with your phone for 3 minutes.
And so this year, the North Country is host to one of the most spectacular events on planet Earth. And we are lucky indeed to experience this moment together in a place so many of us are proud to call home.